Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirisho here, and now, before we do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. Now, Deku, he blew his horn of judgment, and whenever he blew that horn, backup arrived. The Demon Lord, he was not happy. Right now, Deku, Baku, and Ochako have proven themselves to be more than capable to take on this man's enemies. His second in command already fell to one of the heroes in a one-on-one combat. The others are now all taken down. The Demon Lord managed to fight hand-to-hand against one of the heroes, and even then it was still a bit of a problem. Even after he used Warcry and powered himself up, he can't seem to put them down. He decided to release his Tarrasque familiar onto the battlefield, and then he decided to empower it with Warcry. When he did this, it was a bad situation they were put in. Deku, after using Chromatic Awakening, had all of his mana restored and abilities reset. And with this, he decided to dump all his points into Destruction Magic. At level 46, along with his Planeswalker abilities, he was able to find out that the Tarrasque, the Star Eater Tarrasque, it can withstand, if not even adapt, to his destructive power. And this was certainly horrifying. This thing cannot die. With how powerful it was adapting to being destroyed, healing just as fast as Deku can kill it, and then even beginning to get faster. With the amount of power it held, it was a miracle they were able to fend it off. Deku had a lot of help, and it took a lot of time. He even reassumed his divine form, where he was empowered by his sacrificial pact. Now, this does mean quite a bit. Ochako, after she heard about the spell Wish, upcasted it when the Tarrasque ran out of power from Warcry. She even had a few theories about what was going on, about the Demon Lord, his divine half, and why exactly the event calls this thing a familiar. The Demon Lord fractured his soul multiple times, when he was split by Ritus, and then whenever the two halves tried to reform again at some point in the past. Even then, in between that, the mortal half has been gaining familiars. That's not a good thing. After losing half of your soul, you're lucky to be alive, let alone in good enough condition not to lose your mind. The Demon Lord then started chipping away at that thing as if it was a roll of quarters and he was a kid in an arcade. Right now, he doesn't have a lot left, and the damage that's already been done to it may only be getting worse. The divine half only needs to overpower the mortal half to gain that part back. That's her current theory. Meanwhile, his immortality wasn't connected to the divine. It was connected to his familiar. And that was her running theory. Once the Tarrasque was dead, the Demon Lord became a lot more careful, a little less reckless. He summoned an army from the Nine Hells and re-empowered himself. But even then, he was struggling against the three. They are facing off against this man in raw combat, and with his familiars already on the battlefield and no immortality, he is put certainly on the back foot. His divine half told him about what to do. Go back to the city they have here, find the ritual chamber, and try to reobtain a forbidden technique, a forbidden magic. Once that's done, they can take out the heroes. And this, the Demon Lord was quite happy to hear about. However, now he just needs to get away. And we do currently cut back over to Bakugo, Deku, and Ochako. Deku and Bakugo are both empowered by the aspects of the god they chose. Meanwhile, Ochako, she is still gaining a little bit of power. It may not be as much, but she certainly does have some abilities that will help them in the end. And right now, she's employed some of them. Right now, some of her multiple doubles are going to figure out what to do. She's chugging down a mana potion, and they're trying to figure out where the hell the Demon Lord is trying to run off to. The best idea she has is he's trying to get away. But with the fact that this plane is collapsing into the Shadowfell, that is going to be a bit more difficult. Right now, they can try and track his mana. And this, Deku is uncertain of. He tried to summon something to help them battle against the man. Either he's falling back to hold the line, or the people who he summoned aren't going to be able to do much. Right now, he's on the back foot. They have the man on the run. He's got this nagging feeling in the back of his head again. But still, he's not sure what they can do. And right now, Bakugo is chugging in a mana potion and trying to catch his breath. Deku making his way over and bringing a hand to his shoulder. Bakugo turning and immediately feeling all the damage from his battle begin to heal. And the moment his sore, stiff muscles do begin to relax a bit more and feel way better than ever, he does go to glance at Deku. And Izuku, he does just give him a glare that does somewhat say everything. His orange to golden eyes staring at him, his white hair still radiant with divine power. And Izuku does get a turn, expanding his senses and still trying to find out where he could be. Listen, shut up. We still gotta find him. I know. He's dead, by the way. That's all. You finally did it? Yeah, I did. Good. Her going to drop the second mana potion she drank down before she has to bring her hand up and go to pull off the eye patch covering her eye and forehead. Informing Izuku, heal it. And he does get a turn looking at her, bringing his hand up and going to move. Right now, him putting a hand on her shoulder as she does turn her head, alarmed by the speed he does currently have. And she does try and ask, was that? No. Spatial magic. I'm still trying to get a handle on it. My brain has some information along with the others, but it's odd. It's like when I took magic from that asshole back then, but different. Was it really that bad? Yeah. I know we just have sudden upgrades to our powers, but this is different. More information flooding your brain, stuff you haven't experienced, but you certainly have. Ochako going to blink her eyes, and she does get to hold up her hand, examining it along with the other one, talking about it. She'll stay at range, but they need to make sure they can get him. A magic mirror somewhat appearing in front of them. It's made of an illusion as she does to express. Right now, symbols appearing as it does then go to display the location of the Demon Lord. Right now, him going to fly through the air and trying to make his way back to the city unnoticed. And when they do get to see that, Ochako does go to turn, telling them she's fairly certain he's up to something. But what could it have been? Not sure. He's still bleeding. Yeah, that's good at the very least. So we nullified his healing factor? I don't know if he has one. He certainly can heal fast, but I don't know why he's running. He's stronger than us right now, too. He also couldn't kill you. Yeah, that wasn't fun. Though, what is he doing? Is he trying to find a way to heal himself? No. If I can interject. Right now, a dark spirit appearing away from Deku, informing them they might want to move quickly. It is quite possible he is heading back to the Chambers of Rituals. Whoa. I forgot you can talk. Yes. You must move quickly. If he is heading back to the ritual chamber, there is a chance he is trying to take on another forbidden magic. And that may not be good for you. Any of you. Shit. Her turning. And she does go to bring her hands up, informing them they've got to go now. Right now, Deku nodding his head as he does go to turn, bursting off into a sprint as Bakugo does a turn following. Ochako going to take to the sky and go to cast haste on herself, flying up into the air and trying to keep up with the two. Bakugo and Deku, right now, they're on the move and they're moving quickly. Deku, he does go to open his inventory and look at his system, being informed about the levels he gained from taking out the Tarrasque and his participation in that event. Right now, however, he does go to look over his stats screen and read out everything. He has a lot of points to spend, though he does get to top off his destruction magic, maxing it out at level 50. And when that does get to happen, Deku does feel a strange power flow into him. Right now, him even increasing spatial magic to level 50 and maxing it out. Him still quite intrigued that one was costly. Though he does go to talk with Bakugo about some things he might need to increase. And Bakugo does point something out. If he does need to use reinforcement magic, then use it. There's no telling if they're going to run out of mana, and this does come out to a straight punching match. If the Demon Lord uses potions, this can get worse. They can't let him have that damn time. Though right now, fact of the matter is, his anti-magic might not be able to do that. What do you mean? Quote me if I'm wrong, but have any of you seen him use armor with the anti-magic? The platinum skill stuff? No, he drops it when he attacks. Yeah. I noticed that too. I just figured it slowed him down. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think he can cast an attack with that armor. And if that's correct, then maybe he can't use potions? That's just a theory. It's a sound one. As far as we know, anti-magic does something to him. I mean, hell, destruction magic carved its way onto my fucking soul, and I'm not the one who has it. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't be. I see why you like it. Anyways, just if you're down for it, then use reinforcement. It'll upgrade and you'll get a lot better. You'll go into enhancement magic. Deku going to understand. And right now he does dump most of his points into improving that old used skill. Right now him watching it upgrade and turn into another ability, as it goes to turn into enhancement magic. Deku being informed of the advantages and disadvantages of this ability. And right now there is where they do arrive in the city. The Demon Lord not too far away from them. And they do a turn looking around to see where the man might be. And he currently is flying in to try and come in undetected. However, Deku does go to raise his hands and get ready, telling them, all right, so any good moves? Any ideas? Can he sense you? No. I still got some time left before this goes down. I can use my magic items. I've got an idea. Deku pulling out his wristbands and putting them back on, well aware he might need to use this magical item for a fight. He does then pull out his cloak and then go to pull a bow from his inventory, holding it up and beginning to attune himself to it. And whenever he does get to do so, he does get a system alert. Nero's bow. Then going to read down the list of enchantments and be alarmed. Him turning to Baku no Chako. You guys might want to stay back for this. Them looking at Deku as he's a turn back, bringing a hand up and pulling back the string as an arrow made of light does make manifest. And Izuku does go to aim, firing it off as the arrow, it does go to split into 2. It does then go to split into 4, then 8. And then it does go to begin building up speed, heading in the direction he fired it at. And we do currently cut to the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord, he is running quickly as he does get to see the city coming up in the distance. Him hearing his divine half talk about everything. Right now, he's made a mistake. He underestimated the heroes, and he really should have killed them when they first manifested into this world. I know. If you want to lecture me on mistakes, then know you have made your fair share in the past. You are the reason I exist in the first place. If you want plenty of the blame, then blame yourself for what you did. But right now, that is not helpful, and that does not matter. Once they are defeated, then we can go back to trying to restore ourselves. Yes, there is then much that we can accomplish. Once I have attained my normal form again, then that will certainly do much for us. Right now the Demon Lord looking into his own psyche. Someone trying to glance back at himself as there's a wisp by his face and slicing his cheek. Him quite alarmed as he does go to throw his foot down and go to try and move, turning and watching an arrow fly past him at alarming speed and strength. It quickly making its way into the distance as he's a stare at that, turning and watching his arrows begin to fly past him made of a strange light. Though this does go to alarm him. Right now him watching as one does go to spin back around and grow in size. It arcing around and trying to smash into him. Though when he does go to bring up his hands to rip it out of the air with telekinesis, he does go to turn, having to batter one out of the air with his hand. And he does go to begin to try and move, lunging him into the air as another arrow does come flying up, crashing into his leg. It exploding the moment it does embed itself into his knee. And that does going to make him roar out in quite a lot of pain, quite alarmed by what the hell just happened. And there is where he does a turn, watching as an arrow does come flying at him. It doubling up again as one does a strike turkey at him that he does go to try and batter away. One flying past him before it does then go to fly back around, inverting itself and crashing down into him, carrying less momentum than it did before, but it does go to result in a similar like explosion. And the man does go to roar out in pain. Reno Deku aiming in that direction and going to focus on the mana he does feel. He's got a lock on the man. He managed to strike him, mark him, and the hunt truly has began. He is the hunter, and the Demon Lord, his current quarry. Right now, Bakugo going to bring a hand up and remanifest a staff, multi-segmented in the way it does look. And Deku does get a turn after loosing an arrow that does get to arc its way in the direction with a shockwave behind it, asking Bakugo exactly what he plans to do. Well, he's gotta get in close, right? If he wants to make powerful moves, then he's gotta do something. Pulling the stone from his inventory. And Ochako does go to bring her hands up and get ready. She maxed out her own chaos magic before this. She's the best they got. If she can inflict a massive amount of debuffs on him, then that can work. That can certainly do much. If she can get him, then that'll be good. That will certainly run out a presence manifesting its way directly in front of her. The Demon Lord going to turn and slash out with a weapon that Ochako barely does get to see. Her lunging backwards as the Demon Lord does go to miss her. Her bringing a hand up and stabbing something directly upwards into the man's chin. Her losing a kick forwards as she does go sending herself flying backwards acrobatically. Right now, her crashing to the ground on her knees and lunging forwards. Bakugo, turning as the man, does a reach a hand up and try to pull free this dagger. Him annoyed as he just tries to open his mouth to release Warcry. But when he does it to grab the dagger, it does go to burn its way into his hand as she does go to watch the staff strike the man in the back. Him roaring in pain and lunging forwards. As Deku does go to throw out the tendrils of his cloak, and one does a wrap around the man's mouth and go to pull him backwards towards the ground. And Deku does go to stand there. Bakugo going to crash on the staff after spinning it around and hitting the man again, over and over and over. And the Demon Lord, he does go to twist his hand and release black fire, it shooting out and covering the area around him. As when he does get to his feet, he has to bring a hand up and rip this thing out of his neck. Him quite annoyed as it is a come free of his chin, and he does attempt to try and gurgle out words. Right now letting out some unfamiliar groan as Warcry does not activate. And the Demon Lord is quite alarmed. Him confused by what the hell's happening. He should have been able to shit too soon. Then on his mind, and he does go to raise his hands and go to send out a massive burst of smoke followed by shockwaves. Right now, everyone going to try and defend themselves as Deku does a pull back the staff or pull back the arrow and go to loose it in that direction. It crashing into him as he does go to turn and try and fly away, attempting to leave the arrow behind. Though Deku, he doesn't care. He knew he had a chance to miss, but the Demon Lord didn't know that. Right now, him going to blast his way forwards into the city at top speed. Him annoyed that it's really come down to this. Him running to his own castle, attempting to try and stay out of danger. Like he's some sort of mongrel that doesn't know safety. But that's not the case. He's afraid. He's afraid of the Breaker of Fate. He's afraid of the Prince of Shadows and the Princess of the Wild Magic. All of them. They killed a Tarask empowered by his abilities, and they lived. That horn. He will take it as a trophy once everything is said and done. And he does then going to use the last of his magic on a teleport. Him close enough to clear the distance. And when that doesn't happen, Ochako does go to freeze. Her quite annoyed and looking around. Before she does go to point in a direction and talk about it. All of them flying their way directly to the castle that the Demon Lord he had set up. In it, a massive tower in the middle of the city does stick out like a large sore thumb. Right now, them being informed by Deku's dark spirit about what they have to do. The ritual chamber is very far down below, and when you do get over the structure, Deku and Bakugo do both get a hold of their hands. But Deku does it a blast down with force magic. Bakugo, somewhat holding his hands up, still looking at the strange white glow of his new magic in his hands. And they do begin to quickly fall, going through layer after layer of this massive tower. And Ochako herself is very concerned. They can feel the Demon Lord's aura spiking and empowering with something. And there is where they do to crash the roof and they do to turn, feeling the strange energies begin to coalesce down the hallway. And the Demon Lord does get a turn. Right now, him stepping out as his body is covered in a strange glowing liquid. And it does begin to seep into his skin, as he does express to the heroes. It's quite lovely for them to be here. Now, unfortunately, they just missed him. They were quite interesting about one particular feat that, well, the Princess of the Wild Magic seemed to have overlooked. And what's that? Simple. I've been using that peon for a long time, but now I am whole, and I do have to say, having a physical form once again, especially knowing that now all I have to do is fix what that idiot has done to me, it's certainly something. The creature, baring its fangs as an arm, does a shoot out from its body. And Deku does go to bring a hand up to create a wall of destructive magic. Right now, it's going to crash into it as the creature does go lunging forwards. Right now, waving its hand up and blasting out anti-magic. When that does happen, Deku, he does go to get ready. Him going to bring up his hands and go to pull back his right fist as Bakugo does go to hold up his own hands. Ochako getting ready to upcast their spells. But whenever the illusion does go to break, they are quite alarmed. They're standing back in a hallway, and then there is the aura behind them. Deku does it to feel it, and when he does it to burst his own draconic aura, he does it to clash it with the Demon Lord. Bakugo spiking his bloodlust in the same direction. However, Deku is met with a set of fangs that do to bury their way directly in to his neck. Him bringing his hands up and smashing the Demon Lord directly in his temples. Before he is informed, Draconic aura has been negated, and right now, Vampiric Drain is activated. Right now, Deku alarmed. Him headbutting the Demon Lord as the man does go to stagger backwards. Deku going to activate the poison in his blood this time in case he does take another attack. And whenever the Demon Lord does a stagger backwards, Bakugo, he does go to throw out one part of his staff. It flying out towards the man who does get to turn incorporeal. And this does not look good. Right now, Deku rushing forwards and activating Spirit around him. Him going to tap it to its full extent. Whenever he does go clashing into the incorporeal entity, the two do go crashing through a wall. Right now, the Demon Lord caught off guard as Deku knows he can't use destruction magic this way. But he can settle for smash the man across the face with a right fist, and then backhanding him with a fist again. The Demon Lord turning corporeal as they do go stumbling into another room. Deku spinning, turning, and going to remanifest a blade that does go to slash out to the Demon Lord and hit him directly in the stomach. Right now, him going to step forwards with a burst that the Demon Lord does go to try and counter with his massive claws. And Izuku does see that the man has manifested another set of hands. Right now, his dark spirit going to ask exactly if he has a plan. To which Deku does go respond. Right now, him bursting out the purple destructive magic at maximum. And whenever it is flying towards the Demon Lord, he does go leaping backwards, before he's struck in the side by a powerful magic missile. It's taking out part of his side as it does immediately begin to start regenerating. The man turning back and hissing out with a roar directly at Ochako, sensing the amount of mana she has running through her blood. And Bakugo, he does go to step directly in front of her, holding up his staff, before magic circles do appear around him and metal does begin to pour through them. Multiple spikes that do get a show. And the Demon Lord does go to glare. But at the blare of a horn, he does a turn back towards Deku, as Deku does get to hold up the non-magical horn he had in his inventory. And the Demon Lord does go to rush towards him angrily. Right now, him wary of exactly what the hell might happen. But when nothing is going to happen, he does take multiple swords to the back as Deku does rush forwards, covering his hands in destruction magic, smashing the man directly in the center mass as he's a roar out in pain and immediately teleport away to try and run. And Deku, he does go to stand there with spiked maces for fist as they do begin to fade. And they do go to ask if that's it. No, he's getting away. You guys can handle him, right? I can try, but what are you going to do? Listen, I can feel the spirit in here. It's faint, but if he comes back down here, then we're done. We're screwed. I can handle it. But listen, Izuku, I'm sure you could. But if he can get his hands on me, it's bad news. Besides, if we let him do this again, he'll get away. And I don't really want him out there. Do you understand? I do. Ochako's right. Him gonna freeze, nodding his agreement as they do to try and find out where he is. And the Demon Lord, he did make his way back up to the battlefield that he so forlornly ran from. Right now, him going to bring his hands down and begin to try and eat the blood of the people here. But whenever the blood does gonna meet his mana system, he does gonna pull back. The blood disgusting, poisoned, dead, and with barely a trickle of mana left in it. And right now, he does feel the uncontrollable hunger, the mortal urges, primal. And it does go to run through his system at a staggering rate. Right now, him roaring out to himself as he does go to turn. Looking at the heroes who just teleported back to the battlefield as the man does go to roar out as Bakugo does go rushing past him. Deku going to bring up his wristbands and begin to cover him with some attacks, firing firebolts directly at the Demon Lord. Him trying to get away and evade. As Bakugo, he does go to rush forwards and the Demon Lord does go to lean in to try and sink his teeth into Bakugo. The image fading as the real Bakugo, 2 steps behind, does a leap up and crash him across the head with a staff. Him going to land back to the ground, turn, and then split off into 2. The Demon Lord, watching this happen as Deku, does come rushing in. Right now, him going to bring his hand up and pull out a mace as the blade does a shoot out with a strange purple glow. And he does watch as the hero is still pouring with his death magic. Him going to turn as he does try and extend out his hand towards Izuku. Though Deku, when he does wave the scythe in front of him, he does go to recoil backwards. Deku slashing forwards as the creature does try to go on the back foot again. Try and stay away. Not try and do anything. And when this does gonna happen, there is where Bakugo does gonna come in. Him going to pull out another weapon. Right now, him going to rush forwards and leap in, putting all of his strength with Dragonheart into the strike as the Demon Lord does go to sense Bakugo and spin, trying to get away from the attack that does go to score him in the side. Deku slashing outwards and cutting into the Demon Lord, who does go to recoil with a scream that does make them all feel shaken. Warcry activating. Along with a burst of sound magic, the creature does begin to emit. Now, everyone, they do to somewhat stagger. The Demon Lord throwing his hand backwards and smashing his hand directly on Bakugo's body, hitting him directly on the shoulder as he does begin to drain his magic. Him going to roar out in anger and pain and go to kick the man directly in the jaw. Him going to have his teeth cave before Deku does go to bring up his hands and blast him from the back with destruction magic. And whenever the purple beams do to strike into him, he does a roar out and activate anti-magic behind him. Before he does go to turn and throw Bakugo directly at Deku. Deku going to bring his hands up as he does go to reach out and try to grab for Bakugo, who does go to immediately relax everything. His body turning into ooze as he does go crashing to the ground and then go to jump back up. Him annoyed as he does try to shake himself off. Before he does this, I want to tell the two telepathically. Powers get nullified in that. It hurts a lot. Yeah, the fangs looked a lot worse. I don't know about that. Are you two done? Do we have a plan here? I'm almost out. Already? I'm using... Yeah, already. Yeah, not gonna lie, I am too. That drain, though, I can't use Dragonheart. That sucks. So, we're losing power then. Yeah, we are. I've still got plenty of magic, but I have a few ideas. Just try and go for stuff to keep him busy. Buy time. That's all we really need to do. Deku nodding his head. Before he does bring his hands up and think about accelerating time on the Demon Lord, wondering if that could work. It's a very tricky possibility. He doesn't have much practice with this magic. Though, him activating Foresight. And where he does it a glimpse into the future, he does it a turn. Right now, him bringing up his scythe and covering in force magic to slash at Bakugo's arm. Right now, the Demon Lord popping up right in front of Bakugo, grabbing the arm that was just severed as Deku does a lunge forwards and slash out. A fist coming out of the Demon Lord's chest to crash into Deku. Though whenever he does go to activate destructive magic, he does go to watch the arm fade immediately into it. The wounds on the Demon Lord going to sit there. Right now, Bakugo grabbing at his missing arm and being annoyed. Him looking up towards Deku, who does go to begin trying to evade strikes as his eyes. They do look distant, somewhere else. And he does turn back to Ochako, who does go to shrug. Him glancing at his hand and going to try to focus. The bleeding on it beginning to stop as he does go to look around, finding the limb and going to pull it back to him with an ability. It making it back to him as he does get to activate healing magic to restore it. Him annoyed, but staring at the holes that are directly on his arm. And he does have an idea. If the Demon Lord wants some magic, they can give him some damn magic. Though he's definitely not going to like this. Him getting ready. Telling Deku his idea. And there is Deku. He is glimpsing a second into the future. Every time he does activate the ability. Dodge, dodge, dodge. And it feels like he's even still too slow. Glancing blows. Things like that. And whenever the Demon Lord does go to rush forwards, bring down his teeth, Deku does look into the future. A feint. Him going to turn his body directly into fire. The Demon Lord chomping into it as Deku does go to blast out with hellfire. The man staggering backwards and roaring out more. Him activating the sonic screeches that do try to use more and more of Warcry. And the man, yeah, he's not doing too well. Bakugo telling Deku his idea. And Izuku, yeah, he's willing to play that game. They just need to buy time. Him creating a copy of himself that does go to begin covering itself in spirit. And right now, Dark Spirit does go to follow his lead, creating a blade out of the magic, it hardening and turning solid. Before it does go to rush in, and Deku does go to fall back, as there is Bakugo. He does come running in. Right now, him going to split himself into two with his double ability. And when this is going to happen, the Demon Lord does go to bring up his black fire and cover himself in that. His aura changing as it does try to press down on everybody. An oppressive force to try and break their minds. Something to make them feel like they don't have a chance. Like they're not going to win. Like they're not going to get through this. Like they don't matter. However, Bakugo does go to watch the copy of Deku rush the Demon Lord with no thought. He does stare at that. Before an arrow does come flying past, it at high speeds and breaking off into two, them growing in size and power as they do explode directly in the Demon Lord's face, staggering him. Him moving backwards as a third arrow does go flying in. It crashing into the Demon Lord's gut and going to explode. It exposing some of the wounds that are not healing. The ones from the soul damage they're causing. And this Bakugo does definitely enjoy. Right now, him going to rush in and go to slide under the man's feet as he does go to roar out, spinning around before the real Bakugo does come wrapping an arm around the man's head and digging directly into his eye. Him pissed off and roaring out. And with the amount of destructive force he is pulling in, whenever an arm does reach up grabbing at Bakugo, he does allow it to drain the rest of his magic. The Demon Lord going to watch as the double fades, and then the one on his back does get sent crashing directly into the ground and going to roll. Right now, him alarmed whenever he does go to remain there. Him annoyed and trying to empower his healing state, though the eye does not regenerate. Him turning back and bring up a hand, getting ready to go for Ochako. But whenever an arrow does come flying up, crashing to the man's elbow, he does get to watch it explode, taking off the arm. Him turning in the direction before he does a look around, sensing the massive amount of aura that does try to weigh itself down on him. And whenever someone does come crashing directly down on top of him, Deku, he does go to feel the spine begin to give way underfoot. Though whenever an arm does come shooting up, Deku does go to let this double disappear. Him going to bring a hand up and go to blast a massive ball of force directly into the Demon Lord. Him countering with sound waves that do try to fight back. Though his ability, yeah, it does get louder and louder and louder. Ochako going to bring her hands up to her ears and blink away. Her going to pop up right next to Bakugo, grabbing him as the Demon Lord does a turn back. Him rushing at her with his bloodlust as he does want to drink down her magic to stay in an empowered state. And this is where Bakugo, he does get a turn. Bring up his hand as he does a blasted blade directly into the Demon Lord's throat. It shooting upwards and directly through the back of his spine. As he does get a stagger, Deku does get to come up. Him grabbing onto the man's back as Bakugo does try to pull it upwards into his skull. And whenever Izuku does throw his hand down onto the Demon Lord's skull, he does begin to pour images into the man's mind. And this is where the Demon Lord truly does begin to scream out in horror, fear, and pain. Ochako raising her hands and beginning to cast spells on the Demon Lord, trying to amplify the images and thoughts running through his mind, try and make the horror worse, make everything worse. And this, it does go to confuse him. Right now, him seeing a burst of sound magic directly off of his body, as he does get a turn, waving his hands to try and use anti-magic. Ochako bringing her hands up and going to use chaos magic, watching as parts of his spell circles do begin to change around and fade. And right now, an aura of healing does go to spread through the area, healing Deku and Bakugo. Her own wounds beginning to heal themselves. The Demon Lord alarmed and turning to glare at her, as she does go to bring her hands up and go to blast out with chaos magic directly at the man. Him alarmed at the amount of power that does go to strike him, push him back as he does try to make his way directly for her. Though, whenever he does go to take a blade burst to the back, he does roar out in more pain. Him alarmed and turning, bringing up his hand and trying to use anti-magic again. Though this does not go to work. The spell fades. And right now, Bakugo does come in with a battle axe that does a crash down directly onto one of the man's arms and go to hurt him. Him turning back and blasting out with sound magic. The spell beginning to fade mid-cast. And this time, he does try to go for his platinum armor. It beginning to manifest along his body as the scales, they do begin to fade away. And Ochako, she does go to smile. Right now, the Demon Lord glaring directly at her as he has nothing but his own abilities. No magic left in his arsenal. He can still feel some of it there, but it's currently going to heal his damn wounds. These mortals. The damage they've inflicted on his new soul. This has to be remedied quickly. If this is to be permanent, and this is to last, this is to sustain him for... No. He will not let this damn punishment stand. He will be whole, or he will be dead. And he does go to glare at Ochako with defiance. Her glaring right back at the man as he does go to meet her eye. And this, it does mean a bit. Right now, Deku going to rush at the Demon Lord as Bakugo, he does come in. Ochako manifesting a spear and begin to create her own illusions. Deku going to burst out his Death Force aura. And whenever this does to meet the Demon Lord, Bakugo does burst out his own intimidation spirit skill. His own intimidation skill. It's meeting as one of Deku's spirits, they do go grabbing onto the Demon Lord and trying to restrain him. It's going to crash into the man hard. And whenever they do go to meet, the Demon Lord does feel stunned. Him being stabbed in the chest by Ochako as Deku and Bakugo, they do come in. Them going to strike in the man's flesh as she does go to back away and go to bring up her hands, waving magic through the air and threading it. Before it does a latch onto the spear and it does begin to glow. And this does certainly mean something. The Demon Lord slowly raising his hands to grab at the spear. And she does tell both of them to take those things away. And they don't hesitate. Deku slicing off one of the arms as Bakugo, his axe, does cleave through the other one. And the man does go to stand there on his knees, glaring down at the weapon embedded in his chest. Before glancing back up, whispering the words that Ochako doesn't want him to hear. Now, Ochako does stand there, as the Demon Lord, he's defeated, on his knees and nearly dead. This is great. Right. Do you guys have it here? I think we do. We just need a minute. Afterwards, then, I think we can get him down. You think this is enough to hold me? I am a god, you shut the fuck up. Her turning to the man. Bakugo, somewhat going to stifle a laugh as he does go glare at the Demon Lord. And Deku, he does go to chug down a potion and go to toss it over his shoulder. It crashing to the ground as the Demon Lord does go to sit there, annoyed and angry. He has one final ability, but he's not sure if it's a good idea. Maybe it is, but no, he needs something else. Another way out, something else to do. But how would he... Him turning his head, glancing at a crack beginning to form in the middle of the air. No. What? Her turning, looking at the Demon Lord and turning to see the crack that's beginning to form. And this does confuse her. Right now, him beginning to open his mouth as something does it wrap around his face and silence him. Him going to try and say something muffled that they don't go to pay attention to. And Bakugo does go to hold his hand up. It with a shadow extended from it to wrap around the man's face. And she does go to talk about it. That looks a little off. Does it? Do you think it's something from whenever Deku punched through the world? See, the fact that you can even say that sentence with a straight face tells me how ridiculous our day has been. Yeah. But we won, right? I think so. The Demon Lord still muffling into this thing. And he is getting more frantic. Otoko quite annoyed, turning to the man. They're gonna kill him. But right now, they just need a damn second. The last... Fuck. How long has it been since they've been here? They're lucky if the festival hasn't begun, and that was over a day ago. Jesus. What's on her mind? Even she feels exhausted after throwing around that much magic. And we do currently have Deku. Deku went back to go see about Galore's spirit, if there's anything that they can do for it. And whenever he does walk into the room of rituals, he does get to look around. The place doesn't look like something you'd find in a medieval castle. It has that strange appearance to it. Somewhat modern, like stone concrete. The strange darkness. The low lights here. But he does go look up. There's glass. There's this strange darkness on the other side, and he's fairly certain he can smell the consistency of blood. The strange thing above him, the runes carved into the ground over there, and that circle, along with the smell and the reek of magic in here. It's horrendous. It's horrifying. He can still feel Galore screaming in this room, almost as if he's reliving a memory he rather wouldn't. He just gets that sense from this place. Right. Deku raising his hands. And whenever he does go to activate spirit, he does go to close his eyes and try to achieve meditation. Though his body, which is still sore and wounded, does have a little bit of trouble. But he does begin feeling much going on. He can feel... What is that? No, that's odd. Something's going on with the magic around them. This is going through Deku's mind. It's weakening. That shouldn't be happening. Okay. Focus. And this is where Deku, he does open his eyes. And he does get to see Galore. Right now, him just sitting there. On all fours. Him in a silent scream. Curled into a ball. And the way his spirit looks. Holes. Full of them. Like he was ran through a goddamn cheese grater. And put back into that shape. It's horrifying. You can feel how sullied his spirit is from here. And he does get a move. Right now, it going to ripple like water. Before the image of it just looking down in a silent scream, does it change to the creature looking up at him? Hollow, sunken eyes that don't fill a void. That's all he sees. There's nothing in the eyes. I don't know if you can understand me. I'm a hero. We just took down the Demon Lord and I'm here to help you. I figured that much. I can feel your spirit. You're tortured, beaten. I'm not here for him going to hold out his hand. And whenever he does it'll watch, Galore, he does go to immediately shoot backwards 10 feet. Not even moving from the same position he's in. And Deku does it to freeze his hand and stop. Holding his hands up and going to do one thing. He does extend his own spirit to Galore. Him giving it as a chance to show he's okay. Whenever Galore does it a read through Deku's spirit, he does stare at him. Alarmed. Bewildered. But he does go to read his intentions. Him beginning to try and communicate through feeling. The way that Galore's aura does brush against his own, it does speak of much. He gets that feeling of what they did to him. He then gets the emotions. All of it. He can feel what happened. And he can also feel what Galore wants to have happen to him. Deku offered to resurrect him. The idea of this sent Galore almost skittering away. He doesn't want to be alive. He wants to pass. Some of these feelings don't make sense. Some are sorrow. Some are rage, envious of Deku. Some are sadness. And some are apologetic. And Deku doesn't understand. Him going to bring his hands up and inform Galore about what he'll do. And whenever a purple light does begin to shine from Deku, he does go to stand there in the room. Right now, him staring at a small piece of light that does float in front of him. A soul. And it does begin to somewhat shimmer and ripple with a strange blue texture. The holes in it being seen. The light does begin to flow into Deku. And when this does get to happen, Deku, he does begin to feel something odd. And right now, after this does get to happen, Deku does go to stand there. Before he does go to smother what's left of Galore's soul to allow him to pass on. Allow him to pass and die as he was. Right now, him standing there in the room. And Deku is going to feel his own spirit begin to somewhat ripple and change. Him staggering forwards and beginning to feel something odd rush through his own system. Though it's met by a feeling of fear and doom. As right now there is where we do cut back over to Bakugo and Ochako. And the two, they do just won't stand there as they do to stare at the large crack. However, it does begin to tear. There is the Demon Lord does it roar out. Him screaming loud enough to finally catch their attention to what's going on. The expression on his face, fear. Right now, them going to watch the man as Bakugo does going to release the tendril that does keep his mouth shut. You need to listen to me, and you need to listen to me very, very carefully. Why? That is the Eldrazi. If they come through, we are all dead. Please, you must listen to me post haste, child. If they come through, we are all doomed. And she does a someone stare at that, not bothering to pay him any attention. Though whenever they do go to look back, there is where there isn't just a shoot out of the crack in reality. And it does begin to pour through. A strange black material beginning to seep in. And when it does get to do so, touching the ground, it does go to begin to fade. As a creature does to crawl its way into this reality. Its head poking in, and it does go to let out a strange, wet, moaning sound. As the creature, it does go to slosh onto the ground and begin to raise itself up. On all 2, 4, Ochako recoiling. Her mind going to try and process what's in front of her. As there is where Bakugo does stare on, having the same reaction. His nose beginning to bleed, as Ochako, her nose begins to pour a bit more blood. Her turning and going to watch the expression as Demon Lord does a scream out to release them from these bindings so they can run. And the creature turns its attention on the man. As right now, Ochako does get to grab Bakugo and teleport away. Right now, her going to make her way back over to the combatants on the battlefield they know. And when she does to appear, more of those cracks are beginning to form around the area. Her bringing her hand up and waving it to try and tell all the people here to get through the portal now, since something is coming and she doesn't know what it is. Right now, her own magic telling her to run. Something about those things, it's causing fear in her like she's never felt. Primal fear. And whenever Deku does it pop up, he does his own stagger forwards. Right now, her turning to see him. And he does get to have some strange feel to his aura. Right now, him going to step through the portals as Ochako and Bakugo do to close it behind them. Right now, them all going to just stand there on the other side. Her turning to Bakugo and asking about the Demon Lord. What? No, Huh? Are you guys okay? Huh? No, what were we? You guys took care of him, right? The Demon Lord? Yeah, no, huh? Deku going to turn his attention back into the plane of the abyss. And he does begin to see these strange creatures moving around. His mind tries to wrap itself around them. And his aura immediately makes him recoil. As there is where his own spirit does begin to try and shift and change to this feel. As Deku, he does get to somewhat stand there. Before he does get to gaze into the abyss and, huh? That sound. What is him gonna vanish? And Ochako and Bakugo do to turn their attention back to Deku, highly alarmed by what the hell they just felt. His clothes falling to the ground as his cloak is there, along with his weapons and what remains of his armor. Her alarmed, confused, not sure what the hell just happened. He was looking into Shadowfell and did he? No, that. Her going to risk it, glancing into the Shadowfell and seeing what's happening there. Her nose pouring with more blood before her mind does it tell her one thing. Deku isn't there. But what is there? It's doing something to that place. Something she can't perceive. Falling backwards and crashing into the dirt on the ground. And when Bakugo does a rush over, he does try to figure out what the hell is going on. Before a burst of aura can be felt and he does go to look up. Feeling Deku's spirit magic. His spirit skill. Where is he? No, he's over there. No, he's to the east. West? He's in front of him. He's everywhere. What the hell did he just do? And this highly concerns him. Right now, warriors, they do begin to trying to part ways. Though others are also worried about returning back to their own planes. They're not sure where they are in this strange land, but for right now, they would rather return either to the afterlife or their home dimension. And Bakugo can understand this. Him trying to keep busy while Ochako is unconscious. And he's still trying to understand the mystery that is the disappearance of Izuku Midoriya. He felt his magic vanish, go away. But whenever he got the system alert, he was surprised. It told him one thing very simply. The amount of people with the Planeswalker ability, it's still 3 people. However, their mission has been completed. The Demon Lord has been defeated. And this surprised him. Right now, him just trying to think about what to do. He headed back to Granala. He passed off what information he could about Deku's disappearance. And Queen Lillian sat there on her throne, confused, not sure of where her husband is. And Bakugo, he felt unfortunate to tell her this. She is with child. That he can feel. That he can sense. And he doesn't want to put this stress on her. He doesn't want to put it on Indra either. That is a whole other thing. Though, he does get to hand off the weapons and gear he does have. And he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure if it mattered. He found himself sitting there a week later, trying to go over the events of the battle. Ochako regained consciousness the day before. What she saw, she didn't understand, and when Bakugo checked, the plane was gone. The Shadowfell is gone. He can vaguely sense the abyss, but that realm in its own right, it's faded as well. Those planes of existence are gone. The Eldrazi, whatever they were, whatever they did, hell, they might be responsible for the death of... No. Death. Yeah, right. He's the champion of death. He can't die. Unless those things did it. The Demon Lord's dead. they can go home. Nearly 4 years. Nearly 4 fucking years. All it cost them was Kirishima, a lot of people, a lot of time, a lot of pain, a lot of dedication, a lot of people, family. Damn it. He didn't even get a chance to apologize to him. After all the shit they've gone through, all the shit they went through, he can't be dead. They're family, god damn it. They're family. And this is where Bakugo does sit there, tears filling his eyes, as he does lean against the hilt of his axe, just thinking about it. And something does reach out, something familiar, a firm grip on his shoulder as he does a turn, feeling it and nothing there, just surprised. Though he does get somewhat smile. He didn't imagine it, did he? No, he didn't. Magic can do a lot of things, but it can't pretend to be the dead. Not like that. Now, let's currently cut over to Deku. Deku, he began to awaken. He felt something going on with his spirit. Something happened. Like he was being pulled apart and put back together again. And whenever he does get to sit up, he does it to find himself on a pirate ship. Him looking up, surprised and confused, before a sheet is tossed onto him. Him looking back down and finding that his armor is gone, along with the fact that he can wiggle his toes and he doesn't have his boots. And, well, by the fact that he can feel wood on him, he's fairly certain he's gonna need more than just this sheet for some clothes. Him turning to look around and seeing the woman who tossed it to him. Her with long blonde hair and informing him, for now get dressed. They can get him proper clothes and inform him of what is going on. It is a lot to explain. But congratulations, hero. He has found the end to his journey. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.